you guys seen the title. I'm here to talk shit. No, I'm kidding. Hey, so welcome to Agent Office Hours. We're here to talk about relationships in real estate. So, real quick snippet. Hey, Estate Squared Away is an organization I created to bring investors over to low-income areas using government housing associations. So let's get down into it, right? There are two types of relationships in real estate. Obviously, there's going to be your friends and there's going to be your family. And it can be difficult, man. It can be really difficult because everyone wants to make everyone happy. Everyone wants to be happy. And ultimately, it's so difficult to maneuver and be able to give the things that everybody wants, right? Like family wants more time. Friends want to have fun. There's a bunch of different opportunities, that they're wanting, and then you're on this pursuit of growth, right? So a lot of times it puts you in positions where now you got to think about yourself, and it's difficult. Stress can be put on everyone. I mean, stress in family is they don't get to see you as much. They don't get to spend time with you. You don't have the ability to sit and watch movies and just go out and spend time, go to the park. And, I'm not saying to be a hermit, you know what I mean? But definitely still go out and enjoy time with your family. But you're going to know if you really want this, like Eric Thomas says, if you really want it as bad as you want to breathe, then you're going to have to sacrifice at some point. That's going to cause a lot of stress on them, let alone the fact that you're going to go into an area that is more unstable. This is entrepreneurship. Investors, you are going into entrepreneurship. You are pursuing something to gain income in an alternative way. So now you got to shift your mind to that traditional sense of thinking. I'm on a W-2 job. I'm, stable. I'm comfortable. And then now you're putting a large chunk of money into something that may or may not work. It could be the best deal on earth, but it may not work. So you are constantly going to think about that 24/7. Now, as an agent, I have the same situation. Having a brokerage and property management company, it's stressful. It's, not sure if it's going to work, not sure if it's not, you know what I mean? And I don't know if you guys seen the thumbnail. We got a new logo. I was trying to put it up here for you, but it's pretty cool. Anyways, and sometimes you have to make tough choices, right? So ultimately, if you really want something, you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to sacrifice. Either you're going to have to sacrifice your dream of becoming better, or you're going to have to sacrifice your time with your family. Because I'll tell you what, ultimately, it's much better to sacrifice now to give a better later, right? So that's just my belief, right? And then friends, right? Let's think about friends. Friends can see you grow, can see you develop, can see you becoming something. And that's a great thing. And you want that support all the time. But see, the concern is when you start to ascend, or you start to get pace, or you start to outperform what they pictured you as, right? You start changing your ways. You don't necessarily want to go and act like an animal all the time. You don't necessarily want to go and be rough, brutal, or maybe if you're too nice, maybe that's their perspective of you. But ultimately, I'm saying you're changing that perspective, right? Because now you're on a pursuit of something. You are now an investor. So what are going to be your choices? There are great motivational speakers out there that are constantly saying, how much are you willing to sacrifice for the thing you want? Do you really want to sacrifice all that time and effort? Because I'll tell you what, it sounds good. It sounds like, yeah, I can watch a video. I can do this. I'm motivated. I watched this video of motivational speaker and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to sacrifice. But then once you're sitting there for hours and hours and days and weeks and months alone, you know what I mean? Maybe that's not your situation. Maybe you still go to work, but then there's going to be this in between, right? You're going to work, then you're coming home and working on your stuff. You're spending less time with your family, ultimately altogether. You know what I mean? You're not answering your friends as much. And then now you're starting to be like, okay, I keep being only with myself. Even though I'm going out in public and being at my, 8-hour day job, I'm only with myself, because you know what pursuit you're on. Only you are going to have your back, right? And ultimately, yeah, it brings stress on everyone, but it also brings change, because ultimately you need to change who you are in order to be successful at this. I've seen it with so many investors. The ones that don't change themselves are not the ones that end up becoming something. You know who the ones that don't change themselves are? Are the ones that pay for 10,000 seminars and still act the same way. The ones that can go to these places and just drop tons of money paying for these people that set up the event and then don't actually go and do it. That's a huge aspect to investing, because actually these seminars, sometimes these investors count on the fact that you're not going to go and do it. There's even a statistic, I believe. Hey, what's up, Davis? How you doing, man? It's good to see you. But there's actually a statistic, I believe, where it's like 90-something% of everyone that goes to seminars is only there to talk shit. You know what I mean? To say, hey, I was there. They're not there to put it into action, because you know what? They're giving you the real advice. They're telling you really how to do it, but then they're also banking on the fact that you're not going to go through this hellfire that I had to go through. Well, I mean, what kind of person do you want to be? That's where change has to happen. You know, I see it all the time with these investors, and don't be like that. You guys in our community, in the Squared Away community, you guys are so much more than that. You guys are impacting communities. You guys have proven, hey, I show up every single time. I show up. I'm interested. I'm ready to go. I'm doing something about it. So, you know, ultimately, anybody in this circle, I'm always going to motivate you and push you guys, you know. The next thing is, what really is, wealth? What does it mean, to be a millionaire? I'm not a millionaire. I'll tell you right now, I'm not. I'm just along on this journey as much as you guys are. I've got the property management, and I got the brokerage, but ultimately I'm not, this uber wealth successful guy yet. I understand, though, after watching these investors, I understand one thing. If you don't develop yourself to be worth $1 million, you will never be able to make $1 million, because the millionaires, that's not about them making $1 million. It's about, I have learned how to walk, talk, and act in a certain way to where now anywhere I go and anything I do, excuse me. So anywhere I go, anything I do, I don't care if you can drop this person off in, Mexico, and you can, there's even a video like that with Grant Cardone, where they like shave his head and they like give him a different name and they drop him somewhere for 90 days just to see if he can really make a successful business. That's what a millionaire really is. It's not about the money. It's about who did you become on your way to this certain point. And now you have that certain point. Now you will never lose that. Take everything. Take everything out of the fact of, like if I was to take every single dollar and asset that you own, what can you do to build that back up? Most of you guys are very successful already, but you're trying to aim to that next level. So that means internal change. I know that's what I got to do. Speaking of which, I kept my promise to you guys. I'm still hitting the gym hard, every single day, hitting it hard, getting a mile of run in. I'm down 6 pounds. So, I promised you guys that. I want you guys to be on the journey with me, not just fitness wise, but also mentally. Be in this with me, guys. We're growing together. I'm no big shot, you know what I mean? But I want to be a big shot with you guys when you're big shots too. So, it's very exciting. I think I started at like 270, trying to get to 200. Anyways, so, then there's this other aspect, right? There's this aspect of, what if, thanks, Davis. What if you were able to sit, listen, and actually do something about it, right? To be in a situation, or there's like a famous quote where it's like, to be a student means to be a fool, but learning will also equal earning, something like that, where essentially it's so hard for people, especially investors, because this is a very egotistical industry. It's a very ego driven, people love to be like, oh, I got 100 properties. I got this, I got that, it's like, look at me, and that's good. That's fine. Hey, they deserve it. They worked hard to get to that point. But at the same time, at some point, you will stop learning how to grow and change, because now you are too good to be a student. You know too much. Why do I need to learn more? I'm satisfied. Well, I mean, if you're already on this pathway, if you're already having success, these opportunities are coming at you and you're picking them up when you're motivated. But as soon as you get your goal, you stop letting them go. What happens if the opportunities leave you? What happens if the stuff that you built in your current status ends up leaving you. Hey, you are having investment properties and you're renting to renters, right? But if you look around, we rent everything every day. To have a fit body, you know what I mean? The gym is due every day, to have a healthy mind. Hey, your Zen, your food, everything you put in your body is going to be due every single day. You know what I mean? And that goes for everything, hey, being able to be happy, being able to pursue something. So every single day you have to go out and get it. Why would you not try to pursue to as far as you can? Because opportunities come aplenty, but not everybody gets to keep their opportunities. Anyways, so yeah, be a student, be okay with being a fool. You know what I mean? And I mentioned about these seminars, right? I mentioned a little bit about these seminars. So be mindful, right? When you're going to a seminar, focus, go and I see this all the time with investors because I'm around them all the time. I'm studying them all the time because I'm essentially their right-hand person. I'm with them every step of the way. I know, hundreds of investors that I've seen them go from small to being massive. And I see the same thing every single time. The seminars are things that will define you as an investor. If you go to these seminars and you're just there and you record or you take some notes and then that's it, that's all you're ever going to be. That's all that's going to happen when you go back to these seminars. You keep paying money. Take something and actually do something with it, right? Just like take it, for real estate, I got to take certifications and courses and continuing education, and it all doesn't matter unless you actually apply it. Trust me, there's all walks of life in this industry. You know what I mean? You'll see investors and agents and title company professionals, all kinds of different professionals that will be absolutely trash. And you're like, how in the world is this person licensed? And it's because at one point they were kicking ass. They were doing a good job. They were just boom, 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 education, learning, getting better, boom. And then one day they were like, I'm good. This is pretty good. And all of a sudden they start veering off. Now they're fine in that moment, but 20 years later, they're not, and that goes for you as an investor, remember rent's due to you too, And so, yeah, I mean, let me tell you guys a story about something, in these relationships that I've learned, especially in this industry. The hardest thing to do is learn not to learn something, but who to learn it from, because there's all different types. I've learned from sharks. I've learned from very, very honest people. I've learned from people that are able to do tremendous things, you know what I mean? And that aren't even seen, in the public eye, right? Hide themselves very well. And I've seen people that shout to the moon and they don't really do anything, And the one thing that I have noticed is that whoever you choose to follow defines who you become, right? In the beginning of my career, I love this idea. Maybe it was just that Wolf of Wall Street movie or something. I love this idea of like hustling and boom, boom, boom. And I was doing it, in the beginning of my career. And a lot of investors are like this too. And I see it all the time where they come in and they're like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing it. I'm gonna blow you away, or you're not going to be able to catch me. I'm gonna catch you and then I'm gonna be better than you. And then what ends up happening? That you end up needing that person in the future and you're already coming at them ego. And now are they really going to want to help you? For me, in my situation, I learned that, I went down this path of wanting to just make money and be like a shark. And then I realized somewhere in between, hey, how come I keep having to like survive in order to continue on in this business? I'm meeting these investors, but none of them are staying loyal to me. None of them are wanting to like relist with me when they're done rehabbing or when they're going to rent their house. And then I realized they can smell it. They come to you because maybe you offer a good service, but then they can smell it when you actually don't care. Emotion's a factor. Relationships are a huge factor. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't trade the relationships that I have with you guys for nothing. I've been able to bond with you guys over this time, and it's awesome because you guys are just like me. And it's so crazy because before, being able to do this stuff, I didn't think that there was anybody out there that was like, going after it every day, but also open mind and open hearted. It almost seems like, hey, if you're not 60 and cold hearted in this industry, you're not going to make it. It's so like, it's so reviving, I guess, or refreshing to have had that dinner that we had. Look around the room and everybody is happy to see each other. People from San Francisco, Washington, Iowa, and they're like, I can't wait to see you get better. Hey, what can we do? Let's talk about doing a deal together. That's only certain communities. Not everybody's like that. And it made me so happy because this is what I want. This is what kind of community I want to build. I want people to be able to lean and trust on each other, you know? Because yeah, you may be starting on your journey, or maybe you're a high level investor already, but then 10 years down the line, things might be different. Hey, somebody that you've seen that was a peon might be amazing, you know? So make sure you make friends everywhere, man. So the next thing, right? Disruption. Disruption, I think that you can do that with your friends and family in this industry by just being consistent. And it ends up creating a hard relationship, whether it's with your friends or family. And I said this before, right? So at some point, you're going to have to sit down with, either your friends or maybe even with your family, or maybe even with your friends, like in a car ride or something. And you're like, look, I really want to do this. I am really going to do this. And as soon as you say that, then you got to follow through, because you got to let them know. You got to make this line with them saying, hey, this is what I do now, and I need you to have my back. And it's going to be rough. It's going to be, ups and downs, but it will be worth it. And it's hard to prove that because you haven't got that yet. I feel that I have to look at my friends and family and be like, Hook, I mean, it's going to work. I promise, like I told you guys about the beginning of my career, it's like I'm having the water bill come in, and, that pink or yellow piece of paper come in, and, I'm having these situations that it's funny because I gave it up I gave up being a middle-class comfortable person working at the jail. That's what I was doing before in real estate, doing security and in the jail, to going and doing this full time and risking everything. And now, you lose that comfort, and you're living day to day, hoping that everything goes okay. Investors go through the same thing. You know what I mean? But every year you get a little bit closer. I know I am, slowly but surely, I think that, a good set of peers or a good set of people in your circle is also a big factor. I mean, they say this saying, right? They say a birds of a feather flock together, and it's like whoever, or there's like another saying, hold on, let me say one more. There's like another saying where it's like, you are the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so you look and you're like, is this person who I want to become? Is this person on the pathway? Are they better than me? Ultimately, this is the number one. Somebody told me this today. Oh shit, I almost spilled my cup of water. Somebody told me this today, and it was so true. He was like, my number one rule, and shout out to Paul. He's an investor out of Michigan. Awesome dude. He maybe one time we'll have him on the podcast or the live stream. But awesome dude. He's like, I always take a grain of salt with anybody that makes more money than me. And I'm like, damn. Okay. Never, be humble, realize what your position is. You know what I mean? It sucks. Maybe you feel like you should be better. Maybe you feel like you're on the come up, or maybe you're on that pathway where you're starting to get pride, and then you got to humble yourself. You know what I mean? I know I got to check myself on. But ultimately, that was such a great quote too. It's like, take a grain of salt for someone that makes more money than you, or take a grain of salt from somebody that takes more money. Damn, I can't say it. Take a grain of salt from somebody that makes more money than you. So yeah. And anyways, let me go back to the people that you should have in your circle, right? I believe that there should always be people that you want to become, people that align with your views, or people that just embody what you embody in feelings and emotions sometimes. Today I met with 2 very amazing individuals. We're talking about building a philanthropy arm of Estate Squared Away. And this is going to be really powerful, because I'll tell you what, yes, you investors are coming over here into Gary, Indiana, and you guys are investing into the town, and you guys are doing Section 8. but it's going to be a matter of time before you guys start getting good sized portfolios and there starts being a lot more of you. Between me and Mike focusing on this area and building you guys up, it will eventually be a problem for Gary, Indiana. And I'm already talking to them, okay, because they made me realize, they're like, yes, I understand you're trying to bring investors for Section 8 and house people, but for the community that's already here, they still don't like that based off of their own emotions. So they are eventually going to give you difficulty, whether it's in the government, whether it's in tenants, whether it's in anything. You will get pushback, and I'm like, okay, so how do we fix that? How do we fix that? We create this other philanthropic arm so that we can be close to the community. And I'm like, that's incredible. What do you mean by that? And one of them was like, I'll handle all of the interpersonal relationships. Everybody within the community that is staying here, that lives here, I know what they're like. I live here. I'm, just like them. And, I know how I can be their voice. And I'm like, hell yes. And my other counterpart is like, all right, then I will handle speaking out for you on the essence of what you're trying to do. Because a lot of times people don't like things just because they don't understand, right? There's like a saying that says, we're only afraid of monsters because we don't understand them, right? Or I think it's like the only thing a person can be afraid of is a monster, and a monster is something you don't understand. And I was like, oh shit, and because everything doesn't have to be like that. Everything, you can take the time to understand it. And they made me realize, okay, if we're going to go and do this pursuit, if we're going to go and take over, or not take over, but like revitalize Gary, we're going to eventually have some pushback from the people there. So we got to take care of them further than just housing them. We have to actually show them we actually care. So we might be doing a cleanup. We might be doing some type of orchestration, maybe even a scholarship or something. But it'll be exciting to see what changes. And you guys are going to be a part of it. You guys are part of the Squared Away community. We're going to have events probably annually. You guys come out. You guys will meet people that are here that are part of the team too. And you'll be able to see the impact you're doing, I also would love to make some videos of like the people that you guys house, because, can you imagine the feeling of these people? I'm just imagining myself, the feeling of, there's 670 houses that have vouchers right now with their voucher tenants. But there's like, I think 2,500 vouchers handed out right now. So can you imagine being one of the 13,000 families right now? I'm sorry, 1,300 families right now that have no place to live. I mean, what kind of feeling is that? And then on top of it, imagine the feeling of going and getting that call or getting that contact, a letter, mail, whatever, saying, hey, we have a house for you. Hey, this person from this organization has opened up for you. Come and check it out. And opening that door, walking in and seeing this beautiful house that you as the investor have provided for this family. Oh, I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch clips of it so that you guys can see really what you're doing. Because you guys are changing lives, man. I mean, this is big. A shelter is is one of the most common assets that anybody needs. Well, food, water, shelter. And so, I mean, it's exciting to see what's in development. You know what I mean? I'm very excited. I think that, as far as the people you should have around you, there should be 3 people, in my opinion, at all times, at minimum, out of your 5. You should have somebody that is at least one of your mentors, right? I recommend having as many mentors as possible, but be careful intertwining them. You want to keep the respects of each other. I learned that lesson. I intertwined my mentors, and then they didn't like that. They were like, oh, who are you learning from? And so you need to have a mentor on something that you're trying to pursue. I believe that you should also have peers. Find somebody that is very much like you in the community. We have a great community here at a State Squared Away, and find someone that's just like you and talk to them consistently. Ask them about their challenges. What are they going through? Chances are they're going through the same thing as you. And chances are 2 people going down the same path can solve a lot more problems a lot quicker than you by yourself going down this investment route. it's about using that community as a power tool, you know. And the third one, a mentee, and you can mentee anyone. And why do I say a mentee? Even if you are brand new, you've never invested it before, why would you want to have a mentee? Because ultimately, I think it's like retention is 98%, or 98% of your retention in your discipline is done by teaching. And it doesn't matter if you are teaching your child, if you're teaching your spouse, if you're teaching your little cousin or something like that. But the fact of teaching them makes you that much sharper. It makes you that much further. You know, it's part of one of the reasons that I like doing this live stream is because am I like this guru? No, I'm never going to claim that. You know what I mean? Am I super wealthy? No, I'm on this journey with you guys. I am your equal right now. But keep watching, keep the consistency, because I know that I'm going to become something, and I want you guys to become something with me. And you know what? I don't want you guys to give up on me, and I'm not going to give up on you guys. When you guys are going through it, I will sit there and have a 2-hour conversation, making sure that you guys get back on the track. Let's keep it going. Let's grow. You're going to be wealthy. You're going to be happy. You're going to get the things that you want. You're going to spend time with your family. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, this stuff, guys, is, you know, it's difficult, man. I've been in situations where I had to choose what friends and what family to keep around. And, you know, ultimately, you won't always choose the right answer. You know, I was with a company at one point, and the guy that owned the company was an amazing guy. He was becoming a friend of mine. Very, very impressive guy that was 25 years old, had actually 25 million in a fund that he had built over time. And he did an acquisitions company, which essentially was like wholesaling. Hired me to open a Indiana brokerage for him. And, you know, we did it. We were kicking ass, you know. Ultimately, what I learned is that he had a counterpart that he had hired in his company that necessarily wasn't on the same level as him. Obviously, he was president, CEO. This gentleman was a little bit in a different position, you know, COO. And I come to learn about this other gentleman, and I realized this guy he hired, I don't think he realized how impressive this guy was, you know, or maybe he did. Maybe he just was amazing at hiring people. Looked up this guy's credentials, and I mean, it, like laundry list, like CVS receipt, you know, on how long the, you know, his resume was. And I was like, all right, dude, you know, you obviously know what you're talking about. You're way better than me. I'm going to follow you. You know, whatever you're doing, I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to do it too. And we went on like that for a couple of months, learned a ton. But there came a point where the CEO and COO started to fight. And I was just on the sidelines, like, you know, watching. You know, I'm like sitting there like, oh, shit. And, you know, I'm just watching them go back and forth and, you know, seeing their conversations and seeing things going on. And I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen, because you know, obviously the CEO gave me the opportunity and gave me my position. And, you know, this COO is amazing. And he, you know, he's such a wealth of knowledge. So I was like, you know, I can't necessarily pick, you know, a side, you know what I mean? And then it came down to one day when the COO was like, I think I'm going to start my own thing. I want you to help me. And I was like, dude, like the CEO was becoming a friend of mine, and the COO had asked me to start with him. So I chose to go with the COO and start the brokerage. That was the wrong choice. I now realize that loyalty is the most important thing of all. And I understand that there is a saying, even Mike Tyson, I think, said this. He's like, you go home with the guy that brought you to the dance. Because ultimately that person will have your back. You never know what can happen in the future. And what ended up happening is that things didn't work out with the COO. I mean, I'm not going to go into descriptions, you know, or specifics, but if I could redo it, I probably would have stayed with the CEO. I would have built my friendship with him. We probably would have took over the world, but you live and you learn, right? Hope all is well with all of them. I definitely don't have any, negative feelings, but that's just a story to tell you, you guys will eventually get into similar situations. Maybe not in like a corporate sense like that, right? But you guys will eventually have maybe a situation where two people you respect, or two people you follow, or maybe, I don't even, the world is amazing. Like, who knows what can happen? But then you will have to choose who to listen to, right? And that can be a dangerous thing. All I can tell you guys is always go home with who took you to the dance. It's definitely the number one thing I've learned. And it is what it is. Life is full of lessons, right? Life is full of being able to just get a little bit better. And, I'm pressing forward. I think that honestly, relationships is the hardest thing. Being able to balance, being able to be a competitor, but not a competitor with someone. You guys are all investors. You guys are all peers to each other, but you're also, in a sense, competitors, because you're all looking for the best deal. You guys need each other because that's how you sharpen each other, but we're all in the same market. So it's going to be a back and forth. It's going to be difficult. You guys are going to want the same properties, and there will be frustrations at times. But the ultimate thing I got to say, and it's very simple, right? Everybody already knows it, is don't burn bridges. Don't lose those people around you. Houses and money are just one thing, but being able to keep relationships is such a more powerful thing. Take for example, Millennial Mike. I love Millennial Mike. He's amazing. And this is funny because this came up in conversation the other day. Somebody was telling me like, Millennial Mike is building his following. He's becoming great. And he has, quite a bit of houses, right? Somebody who's like, oh, well, there are people that have, way more houses. Why is this guy important? Well, it's not about having houses. It's about being able to be the one to lead people. I was like, that's where the separation comes in. You can compare him to somebody who has 300 houses, but the difference is there are very, very few investors that are able to saddle up and go and teach other investors, be able to guide people through the fires, be able to, avoid all of the mistakes that they had to go through themselves. With that comes power and respect. And that's why when he enters, to our dinner, and there are investors there with hundreds of properties, he is still the focus of the dinner. You know what I mean? And that's what you should strive to be. Don't necessarily be selfish. Don't be egotistical. And it's very easy. Honestly, I think that pride is the biggest killer too. I think outside of relationships, and maybe this even goes with relationships, pride is the number one thing that is going to destroy you in this business. Because, like I said, these people go to these investment seminars, and all they want to do is be like, hey, by the way, I do this, hey person, by the way, I do that. It's like, when you're laying in bed, if you were that other person, you're laying in bed, do you really give two shits like what happened through that person's life and how they became, in that little mini second of them showing themselves off? It's like, no, you care about somebody who's going to walk up to you and actually create that bond with you. So there's also one thing that I subscribe to, and I subscribe to the idea I was telling you earlier about self-development. I think that becoming the best you can be in your body, mind, and constantly challenging yourself is going to be able to take you to that next level. Being a millionaire, from what I understand, obviously I'm not that yet. Being a millionaire must mean that you are becoming that worth to the public. Money is not the concept there. It's how you walk, talk, and act. But then I'm curious, like if I wanted to be a billionaire, what are those people like? And I've had, like I said on the last video, I had the pleasure to meet one person that was a billionaire at one point in their life. And that's where they controlled everything. They understood, I have to be careful of everything I say. I have to be careful of every choice. I have to make choices fast. I have to be able to show and represent myself well at all times consistently. Um, how many of you guys can look at yourselves right now and be like, I'm doing the best that I can? Hey, this is absolutely, I'm doing the best. Health, bodies, mind, goal, drive, ambition, what and your own personal values too. You know what I mean? Not everybody has to be, trying to take over the world. Like maybe some people do have a priority for family. So maybe you're going through investments to build a wealth for your family and your kids. Are you doing that to the best you can? I definitely subscribe to that idea. To learn how to be able to pick the words to create the best outcome. It's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, and we have skills in everything that we can sharpen. I mean, how do you talk? How do you critical think? Oh, this is a really good one. I watched a TED Talk the other day, and this was really good. So this person was like, all right, at Harvard, or was it Stanford? Stanford, they had done a certification course. I don't know if you guys know this, but like colleges will offer certification courses, kind of like quick little, like, few weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks seminars, and at the end of it, you get a little certificate, from their school. And it just says that you learned something. Well, with this certificate, it was for entrepreneurs, and they were like, okay, what we're going to do is a project where you guys are going to build a slideshow, and I'm going to give you guys each $5 a piece. I'm going to break you guys up into teams of like 5, I think it was, and there was like 35 in the class. And he's like, okay, whoever can make the most money at the end of this course, or at the end of this 8 weeks, ends up winning the scholarship to go to our school. And obviously you have to present it on the slideshow, what had happened through the course. And so it's so funny because the end of the TED Talk talks about what had happened, and it says, it said that there was teams that spent the $5 to get, little bits of tools and programs to try and, build something, right? But there was this one group that didn't spend any money at all. Instead, what they went and did is they found companies that were interested in hiring people that were skilled, and actually paid them to present a professional slideshow, a professional business slideshow, and teach them how to give a professional business proposal. So they made, a couple $100 or something at the time, and they had actually raised it up to, I want to say it was something ridiculous. It was like $26,000. And they said, how did you do it? And they were like, well, you gave us the tools the entire time. We just found the right people. We just found the people that needed it. And so you think about your own like decisions, and you're like, damn, you know what I mean? It's like, so they just figured out how to turn $5 into like thousands, how do I do that? Is that really the goal? Like, it's not about the money. It's about the choices that you make. It's about how do you go into every decision, and is that the best choice? The art of being a student, you know what I mean? I'll never say that I know everything. I'll never even act like I'm an expert in something, because ultimately I can be taught something tomorrow that could show me that something's different. I could be taught tomorrow that, I thought that, homes can only be sold this one way, and there's all different types of ways. You know what I mean? That happened when I learned about creative financing. Like, what do you mean you can trade a boat for a house, or I can shake your hand and buy your house, or I can trade you cryptocurrency for your house, or I can, use sponsorship parties so I don't even have to use my own money to get a loan. I can sign up for a loan, get somebody to pay that down payment that's not even me, and now all I knew was just how to put the plan together. Skills are aplenty, right? You can get good at critical thinking, speech, presenting yourself, and ultimately, with Mike and his group, and even the ORAT group, they push, go make your own YouTubes. I'm here equal to you guys, and all I do is make sure, what, I don't give a shit. I probably should plan this better. Give me advice, guys, if you guys have any ideas of, what you guys would like to see. But ultimately, I'm just trying to get out here. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make it with you guys. I'm trying to travel with you guys and be able to see the world and take yourself to the next level. You know, um, that's all it is. All it is just pressing record and talking every night. And it's not like I'm trying to talk nonsense. This is actually how I'm feeling. And I'm telling you guys because I actually care about you guys and I want you guys to develop. I want to see you guys actually become successful. It's one of my goals is that I want to be able to look over and have some type of impact on somebody and look and see that they're at least making 400,000 a year just from real estate investing. If it, I mean, I don't know what that comes out to in the different avenues for real estate investing, but I want to know, dang, because of me, this person was able to now take care of their family and not have to work a 9 to 5 anymore. You know, that's my minimum. You know what I mean? Once I hit there, I'll be like, ooh, okay, you know, that's pretty cool. But yeah, man, you know, um, I'm really excited to see this philanthropy thing go out. You know, I think that that's going to create tons of relationships with the community. I think that um, I think that's going to be the most difficult spot for us right now is figuring out. Okay, we're coming in here. We're doing Section 8. After you do too many Section 8s, what's going to happen with the community? Can you make your tenants easier on you if you were able to offer them something deeper than just renting? How much do landlords actually offer their tenants besides rent? I mean, take the house and the renting out of it. What do you really do for your tenants outside of that? You know, could that be a factor in why, you know, there are some tenants that, you know, don't create bond and loyalty? I mean, creating a loyalty is so strong. Can you imagine having loyalty with someone and then you don't follow through on a promise? I would imagine that that's a big factor in your tenants and how much they pay you and how much they respect you. I mean, I seen it before with this property. We'll eventually talk about it with we'll eventually talk about it. We're actually going to have a video on it about the property that sold for $61,000 with Senya and Emmanuel. Emmanuel sold it to Senya, and we're going to see, you know, Emmanuel's perspective and Senya's perspective. And it was amazing because I got a chance to talk with the tenants and the level of respect that these tenants had for Emmanuel. You know, I granted they just met Senya, so I'm sure they're going to have the same level of respect, but the level of respect they had for Emmanuel was unbelievable. Anything that Emmanuel wanted, he was, you know, they were like hopping to it. And it wasn't because he was forcing them. It was because they wanted to. They wanted to take care of him. They wanted to help him. They wanted to do whatever was necessary. I mean, yeah, there's a factor that he's the landlord, but you know, you guys know just as well as I do that not every landlord, we had the crazy tenant video the other day. Not every landlord has a great relationship with their tenants. You know, part of the philanthropy thing is that we're going to partner up with the organization that this girl had made. You know, Amani Ellis, shout out Amani, and Shayna Davis. I'm so sorry if I'm chopping up your name, but essentially I met up with both of them. They are on the pursuit of trying to actually impact the community within. Amani has a brilliant idea of making packages for your tenants once they move in. Once they come through that door, happy that they finally got an apartment, you know, or got their yeah, it's an apartment. They walk in and they see a basket that has resources for how to be able to get food assistance, how to be able to get, you know, knowledge, maybe even educational seminars for how to manage your house and, you know, tools of the plenty. You know, so I'm very excited to see what she comes up with. She's on her pathway of being a tremendous leader in the community. I mean, you guys should check it out. No Limit Livings. That's her organization. We're going to be partnering up. So that way we'll be bringing you guys into the community and helping the community. And she'll be on the other side, the community, getting them to help us. So it'll be great. I'm very excited. We also want to do a community cleanup. Shout out to Ryan Hyder, because technically that idea came from him. I can't take credit for it. You're awesome, Ryan. Essentially, we're going to be doing a cleanup, hopefully around September, around Labor Day. We're also planning on doing another event, but nothing is set yet. I don't want to get you guys' hopes too high, but you know, that's going to be the goal, is somewhere around Labor Day. You know, so we're going to try and do something. And I want to do something at least annually. You know what I mean? Just once a year, I want to create a big shebang for you guys. So you guys come out, meet other investors, get some great knowledge, get some great tools, and see who we can, what we can do to take you to the next level. You know what I mean? Eventually, we'll be having to find alternative ways to get you guys funding easier, deals easier, a bunch of different stuff. But it's exciting, man. And, if you guys have any questions, please always feel free to drop it in the chat. I'm always here, receptive. I want to see what you guys want, and then we'll dive deep into that too. But, this relationship thing is, it is something. It's probably going to be the hardest thing that you learn or have to deal with in this industry. But it'll be worth it, I think. Well, I'm going to cut this one short, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of today's Agent Office Hours. And, come back tomorrow. Every day we have something new. And if you guys ever want to hop on the Zoom and talk to me, give me a chance to talk to you. We'll come up with an idea, concept, topic, and then we'll hop on the video. So, all right, you guys have a great night. See you tomorrow. And it's a great day to be squared away. I need to find a name. Yeah, it's a great day. Be squared away. There we go. All right, guys. You take care.